Hello, and welcome to the Buck on the Issues podcast series. I'm Steve Coco, and I'm here with Ron Thomas and Rebecca Brereton from Buck Consultants Talent HR Solutions Practice. Today we're here to talk about flight risk and employee engagement. So guys, what do you think of when I say flight risk?
Well, I think about the employee's decision. Do I stay or do I go?
I think options are becoming more available to people. For a while now, everyone's been bunkered down and afraid of losing their job, and it seems like recently there's a sense of the doors opening up again.
Yeah, and when I think about flight risk, I think about coming into the Industrial Revolution, the gold rush, the internet boom of workforce change. It's like a workforce revolution.
Well, you know, Jim Collins stated in his book about organizational stability and turbulence, we've had basically 50 years of relative certainty between the 50s and the year 2000. What we now know post-2000 is that the new normal is uncertainty, and it's really because of three things: triple-dip recession, incredible innovation and technology change, and for the first time in history, we have the combination of a global workforce and 4 generations working at the same time.
Well, let's tackle those three individually, and given that Rebecca's here, let's get someone who knows what they're talking about when it comes to generations, specifically millennials.
Morality is huge in terms of the work we do, and it's important that it have meaning. It's actually more important than pay for a lot of my friends. And we're super involved in all the new technology and definitely not afraid to use it.
That makes sense. What about this triple-dip recession reality?
Well, because of the economic situation, boomers aren't retiring the way that everyone expected them to. So that adds even more complexity to the workforce equation. Those 401ks became 101ks, and these people are now working longer because of various financial constraints. And, you know, to me, that ties back into engagement, which is in flux in all organizations today for each of the 4 generations.
Yeah, and the Department of Labor is telling us that within the last 3 years, since the recession ended, hiring has increased almost 20%, and 17% more people are quitting of their own volition. And everything's saying that the trend's going to continue in this direction. It's just going to keep getting harder to keep good people.
Yeah, and the other thing that's going to make it harder is this ease with which people can develop their own ideas and get technology to support it.
Right, there's so many entrepreneurs these days. It's so easy to start your own thing with Kickstarter and ShareSpost.
So how do we use this information to keep our best talent?
Well, the right type of media and technology for the right person at the right time and on the right device seems pretty critical to me. Also, people make decisions based on what people like them or doing. And frankly, people want what's comfortable, flexible, works into their lives and schedules.
But so what? I mean, who really cares?
Every single organization should care.
So why, though?
Because talent is going to be the single key to their success moving forward in this workforce revolution. They're going to need the best people. It's as simple as that.
So think about this. Imagine if the people you rely on every day, your postman, your barber, coffee guy, your dry cleaner, the guy who cuts your grass, your most reliable babysitter, imagine if they all went AWOL suddenly. I mean, I know people who literally wouldn't know how to function.
Well, if you think about the top 4 or 5 people in your department, if they decided to leave, how would you operate? People are changing jobs so frequently. It's a totally different world, a new world order that's emerging.
Yeah, so Ron, what's interesting is that it's just what we thought. The Bureau of Labor Statistics is telling us that people today stay at a job on average less than 5 years, and millennials will have 15 to 20 jobs before they retire. So if we carry that out, Gen Zers will have something like 30 jobs.
But what do we do about it?
We know that 2/3 of the workforce is not engaged, and that 75% of your top performers are thinking about leaving.
I really think there's some specific things you can do. To me, it's all about assess, plan, and execute.
In terms of assessment, conduct a flight risk survey. Maybe start with a flight risk index. Also use consumer behavior and behavioral economics to understand your employees' wants and needs. Buck's Consumerism 360 concept could be a model. And think about new ways of working. The whole idea of it's no longer about the where, when, or how work gets done. It's all about the what. The quality is what matters. How ready is your organization to handle that cultural shift? Basically, look for opportunities to hedge against flight risk before it becomes a problem.
And don't forget that your employee value proposition is important for prospective employees as well.
So in terms of planning, you need to develop a strategy for getting the right talent in the door. Figure out what skills, capabilities, and types of people you need in the future and where they're going to come from. You probably already have a lot of these people, so identify who they are and develop them so they stay. And figure out a communication and social media approach. And make sure your onboarding program is strong. Think of it this way. You have one chance to make a first impression, and 95% of people make their decision to stay or go in the first 6 months. Also, think about the concept of boomerang employees. If it's best for them to go, let it happen, then they're willing to come back eventually. They're a known quantity, which is a huge advantage to you.
Well, and then you execute. Identify your top performers, support and develop people where there are gaps, and you work with recruiting to bring in the types of people the organization needs. Kick off the social media plan. Make sure the technology lets people collaborate, connect, because people need to understand it as an integral part of how they work. You don't drive collaboration, you inspire it.
Nudge your employees. Marketing theory tells us 78% of consumers trust their peers and their preferences more than advertisers. So recommend decisions based on information that you have about them. Focus on the employee experience to drive those outcomes. Buck's Life at Work portal, especially when it's in a mobile application, has proven to raise engagement over 90%.
You've got to develop the onboarding program. When you do that, there are two key factors to consider. First, you've got to think about connecting the new employee to the organization so they know they made the right decision. And then, secondly, you've got to think about their relationship with their managers. Managers must be developed to onboard employees into their department. In reality, managers don't do this well.
Yeah, and we know that employees join companies, and we know they leave managers and compensation.
Don't forget about organization-wide change management. You need this to keep everyone in sync. And you need to measure your success. Let analytics drive your decision-making process, and let it tell you how you're doing as it relates to flight risk.
Well, thanks for joining us and listening about flight risk and its effect on employee engagement.